Welcome back to Between Two Bs, the official podcast of the B to SMB Institute and our 5,000 plus business to small business professionals. Okay, it's 2007 and you are a young entrepreneur who has a business selling bandanas? Yes, bandanas. And you come up with this great idea to kind of answer a frequently asked question from your bandana buyers, most of whom are hip hop generation types. And they just want to know, how do you tie a bandana? How do you put it on your head and make it look like a hip hop star? Well, John Lawson, who's our guest today on the Between Two Bs podcast, he made that video teaching people how to tie a bandana. And guess what? It had over 300,000 views, which back in 2007 was like the equivalent of 3 million views today. That launched a career as an incredibly successful entrepreneur. And importantly, someone who knew how to translate the marketing of a small business into technology and back again, because he was one of the very first users of video as an advertising tool for his business. So he's got some great insights into technology, into small businesses, and specifically for today, AI. Join me, Dave Walker, on this episode of the Between Two Bs podcast. John Lawson, it is so good to see you again, my friend.
Yo.
I've had you speak at B to SMB Institute events live. I've done, I think, at least one podcast. I can't remember if we've done two over the years, but always return to you as not just a small business influencer who is on everybody's top 10 list, but also somebody who I really genuinely feel I have pretty damn good technology conversations with. And This is a conversation where I really wanted, after having interviewed a number of players in this marketplace, for lack of a better description, this ecosystem that revolves around AI and AI's use by small businesses. So I've spoken to the engineers, I've spoken to the developers, I've spoken to the product marketers, I've spoken to the senior level executives, all kind of, and I've spoken to small businesses, all really on an effort to try and understand what's really going on with AI as it relates to small business. So I come to you with that topic. And, we figured we would riff off this in all sorts of different directions. But before we get jumping into that, I want to give you the opportunity, because you have some great backstories, some wonderful origin stories. Give us just a sense of your origins and how you came about doing the job that you do and that you do so well, and talk about what you're doing now.
The deal is, the job I do, that's interesting. I wonder what the job is. Who do people pay me for? They pay me to show up and be me, but I really got started back in, I want to say 07, long time. Okay. And really what happened was I made a video, posted it on YouTube. It was how to fold a bandana, because we sold bandanas. And, the deal was, I just wanted a way to answer frequently asked questions.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but let me repeat that.
Yeah.
How to fold a bandana.
A bandana.
That was the topic of the first video you ever did.
Right. But the deal is that I was selling bandanas for hip hop. Right.
Okay.
So that was my niche. It was hip hop accessories at the time. But the deal was, if you think about early 2000s, that was the time hip hop was really going global, like crazy global. And so what I thought was me selling to a very niche audience ended up being a very worldwide audience. The number one question people would ask was how to fold a bandana like a hip hop, like Tupac or, Eminem or somebody that you would see. So they would ask the question after buying it, and I would get tired of answering it. So I made a video on how to fold it. That video just blew up, man. It ended up like over 300,000 views, which today is, it's in the world of Mr. Beast is not that great. But back in early 2000s.
At that time in 2007, you were lucky to get 10 views.
Exactly.
That was just not a media channel.
It wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't a business platform.
Right.
And I used it for my business, and that brought more business to us. because people started embedding that video into their websites and stuff to answer their questions. So we had our competitors driving traffic to our site simply from that. And so that became how I got into the small business marketing, whatever you want to call it, that I do today. Right.
Well, the technology and social media enabled side of that for small
Yeah.
business, which, and I think, again, we're dating ourselves, but in 2007, I don't think we remember how nascent it really was for small
Oh
business.
man,
I mean, they had
dude.
just, still probably the number was still hadn't, there were still no more than 25% of small businesses that had a website or that had a Facebook page or that had any
Right.
kind of content stream or had staked out basically what they were going to be as a social media presence. And so all of it was kind of like virgin snow, right?
Right. So here we are, what, 20 years later
Right.
almost. And to talk about that seems like ancient history,
Yeah,
right?
it does. And yet at the
Right.
same time, like, any dynamic marketplace, you have a lot of new discoveries of how to do things, which I know you're on the vanguard of, but you've also got just an enormous number of new players that are entering in. I mean, I'm just continuously astounded at how the solopreneur population every single month now is growing up anywhere between 10 and 20% on a bi-month basis. That's extraordinary,
Oh man.
of
Wow,
people.
that's crazy.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's well north of 500,000 new business applications for sole proprietorships across the United States now in the month of August.
And I think it would just keep accelerating
I would think. I mean, I think that if you really
at some
combine,
point. I mean,
yeah,
it can't
at some
keep
point it
growing
might tap out, and
forever, but
that has nothing to do with the success of those 500,000
oh yeah,
businesses.
absolutely.
But
Yeah.
bottom line is that if people are losing their jobs or getting, not getting salary increases, or gosh, I've got my first kid, I can think of 1,000 motivations that are very, very front and center right now in this moment in time that would accelerate that number. Um,
Absolutely.
so getting to the subject of really, you've been a kind of a gentle technical advisor to small businesses for quite some time. If anyone in our audience has not really just consumed some of your content, go do it, because it is very, very refreshingly gentle. And I really mean that in the night.
Gentle.
No, it's firm. It's
Okay. I'm
firm,
about to say
but it
I've
doesn't,
never heard gentle.
well, firm, but not like kind of like, you're not
Yeah.
wagging your finger at people going, you need to
Right,
do
right,
this, which
right,
is
right, right.
that's the tone and manner of so many of those things. But I think that as that technical guru for small businesses, looking back at the last 10 years, and specifically the COVID pandemic, and specifically this notion that small businesses were going through a digital transformation. Was that digital transformation real, or was it a mirage? And if it was real, what actually happened? What actually transformed? And then if not, if more a mirage, what really did happen? What's happened with the use of technology by small businesses?
The whole point of bringing all the way back to 2007 really was to just show forth how we've lived through these technical changes in small business.
Hmm.
So video, that would be one of the change. Web was definitely, so
Hmm.
let's start with the web. That was a big change. Then we got video, big change. Social, huge change. Mobile, I mean, like breathtaking change.
Unfathomably big.
Exactly. These have all happened in the last basically 20, 25 years, right?
Right.
Maybe 30 if you go back to into the web, right? But the deal is we see this pattern
Hmm.
happening over and over again. And what's happening, it's happening faster in terms of adoption, and it's happening, it's spreading wider,
Hmm.
right? And what we have today with AI is more impactful than probably all of those put together.
You think so?
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I'm curious, because you're not alone in thinking that, obviously. And there's a lot of opinion out there that's contrary to that. But why do you
Absolutely.
think it's so impactful?
Because all I need is this to get to it.
Right.
Right. And we all have that.
Right.
See, all of those other times, we didn't all have the actual on ramp to get to it. All of us didn't have a computer connection fast enough to do video marketing. All of us didn't have a new phone. We were still in the flip phone era. But this time, everybody has a device to get on the highway. That's going to be huge difference. It's a big differentiator.
And I agree with that. And I think that's why it's so incredibly potentially impactful for small business. Why I believe firmly that it is a game changer, that it does level the playing field with significantly larger competitors, that it requires minimal investment, at least of money, time and resources and skill sets and all the rest of that stuff. Yeah, it can be a little heavy. It can be a little heavy-handed. But, it seems like a lot of the platforms are kind of learning how to build agentic interfaces that assist in solving these kinds of challenges or problems that small businesses are encountering, which is terrific. But
yes,
I think that my question, I guess, then is okay, it's an incredibly important and impressive wave of technology that potentially has long and wide impact across the SMB universe. So why is it right now, at least, that the adoption of small business, the adoption rate of AI amongst small businesses has kind of a hollow center to it? In other words, there's a lot of early adopters, and I would count myself amongst them as a small business myself, that jumped in and started using it and discovering with almost every single use that its creative and strategic contribution was just as impactful and important as its tactical contribution. And so I'm imagining that, gosh, didn't everybody who's an entrepreneur go through these steps and processes and embrace AI and all the wonderful things that it can do? And the short answer is no, they're not. And so I guess I want you to react to this on really several fronts, give your point of view on what do you think is really going on right now with AI adoption amongst small businesses? Who do you believe? Because there seem to be two completely conflicting stories of what's really happening, where the trend lines are really going. And take the contrarian side for a moment and just say, okay, bearing in mind that there's tremendous impact and import that AI has on small businesses, what are the barriers that are emerging as really the barriers preventing them from adopting and fully realizing the benefit that AI can give them?
Yeah. 77%, think of this number, man. 77% of small business owners have insufficient understanding of what AI is. And on top of that, they're uncertain about its benefits and how to adopt it. Okay. So who cares how great something is if I don't know how to use it or how to apply it? What does that matter?
Right. Right.
So it's like, the pill's only as good as if you take it. And if you don't take the pill or you skip a few days of the pill doesn't work anymore. So that's where we are right now with AI. 3/4 of all small business owners or more don't have any understanding of it. 62% don't have any education or training on it.
Right.
That's the biggest obstacle that they face, right? So even with all the hype around AI, most SMBs don't really know where to start or what tool they can use and how to actually solve their problems. And if it doesn't solve my problem, I'm probably not interested. I got too many other things going on right now. And so I think that's kind of where we are. But I want people to understand that AI, right now, it feels like this nebulous kind of thing. And I get that. But really what it is, it's a platform. So if you think of social media, when it first came out, yeah, I'm going to do Farmville. I'm going to go on,
Hmm.
Facebook and buy some. That's what people are doing. Really? That's what you're doing with your time? It's so stupid. Social media is so stupid. But we didn't realize social media was a platform. And
Right.
now today, 80% of business that is done, most of it has started with a social media either lookup or reference or something like that. So this is kind of where we are. We didn't know what social media was going to be when it started. It was Farmville. That's where we are right now with AI. I get it, because everything is AI on the news, but in reality, we don't know how to apply it yet. So I think most small business owners are sitting back waiting for, okay, what's in it for me kind of thing.
Right. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I'm somewhat surprised that, again, a lesson from the past that we haven't learned from prior technologies when it related to small businesses, that it's all about use cases. It's all
Right.
about presenting a small business. Here's exactly how it would work with someone who looks exactly like you. They're also a dry cleaner. They also are a manager for a restaurant. They also have a dog walking business. Pick a flavor. And it seems like there's a real lack of use cases presented in such a way that it's quite obvious. I can do that. I can use that. And I've found that in myself is that when I see an an AI agent at the front end of, I think he's a mutual friend, Gib Olander, of his new kind of podcast enhancement platform. It's the 7 different agents that he's written with AI. So he's agents writing agents or creating agents that are all spectacular. I mean, they all do this kind of both pick and shovel, but also kind of strategic work that really helps you address, hey, I got a podcast and I'd really like to be in the top 10% of audience. I'm just kind of wasting away here with 2 new listeners at a time. How do I do this? And these 7 agents kind of combined together are kind of like, I don't know, they're they're amazing. And
Yeah.
and it's that kind of thing that if I talk about that, and I'm sure you talk about your applications of AI in your business and how you're using it, it then becomes actually infinitely more approachable and accepted by small businesses, in my humble opinion. And I think that's where I really wonder where the industry of those building and selling AI features and tools and capabilities, is that what they're really missing? Is that they're missing kind of the use case angle. Like most engineers, you and I were both together down in San Antonio with
Soho.
Zoho. And one of the big things I appreciated about their presentation was they clearly were not enthralled with the engineering of their AI. They were, in fact, they really went out of their way to say, we really don't use the AI word in a lot of our product descriptions. We have it, it's working, but we don't want to scare anybody away. And I thought that was a pretty good insight. It's like, yeah, because it does turn people off. So I
Yeah,
guess
that's
in all of
weird.
that, my
It's
question to
kind
you
of
is,
crazy, isn't it?
it
It's
is. It's
crazy.
it's it's absolutely crazy. So, but back to my question to you is,
Yeah.
what do you think are the major use cases that are emerging of successful application of AI for small businesses? And I know that casts a really broad net, but are there any specific ones that you look at and you kind of go, that's freaking brilliant, what that person did?
I mean, there's so many uses. If you're in a small business, there is something that you do manually that drives you crazy that you
Mm-hmm.
have to do every day that could be done very efficiently, automatically with a computer.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main thing that you need to be looking for.
Mm-hmm.
See, so I find that so many people will see a tool and then they try to figure out, how can I use that tool in my business?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's the other way around. Find what is really repetitive and then find a way to use AI to do that thing. So let's think about customer service requests,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's what I did for, the bandana. My customer service requests were so much that I would wake up in the morning with all of these questions. How do I fold this bandana? I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, if I make a video and just use the link to the video, that solves my problem,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that took away 80% of my customer service headaches were automatically erased by being able to just automatically identify if that was the question, send the video.
Mm-hmm.
That's AI.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you got at your behest today. You have the ability to use AI to answer the most pressing questions that people keep asking you. I was in the e-commerce business. The number one question people want to know is, where's my package? Where's my package? How much time and effort do you have for a team member or team members that are doing nothing but answering this one question? They ask the question, then the person has to go and look up the tracking number inside the tracking system. If it hasn't been shipped yet, where is it in the fulfillment system, and how far away are they from getting a tracking number? Or if it's already got a tracking number, has it landed? All of these things we
Mm-hmm.
got humans doing. We can
Mm-hmm.
automate that tomorrow with a chatbot.
Right. And it really is that simple, isn't it? I mean, it's not a
Yeah, it
lot more
is.
complicated than that. I really like your approach that, take the most painful tasks that you have to do as a small business. One comes to mind. I heard this story through a mutual friend of one of my associates is a restaurant owner, and he's using AI to create his wait staff schedule on a weekly basis. He says
Hmm.
it's the most tedious thing in the world. It's a cut and paste from an Excel spreadsheet and then kind
Wow.
of a back and forth checking in on, can someone do these specific times that I am proposing? And it's a Jenga stack, it's
Yeah.
basically if one person says, no, I can't do it at that time, then he has to manually go back in and rejigger the whole thing. It's
Yeah.
incredibly tedious. He said his story was he was spending anywhere between 5 and 10 hours a week doing the wait staff schedule. He went
That's a
to,
perfect one.
yeah, it is. I mean, it's just kind of like stupid, right? It's the most stupid thing in the world. He went to ChatGPT and he wrote an agent basically that worked
Yeah.
with Google Sheets, worked in a spreadsheet form, and just took over the process of putting together the straw man schedule, making the direct inquiries to the via text message to all of these workers, giving them a set deadline in which they had to respond saying yes or no, consequences of if they say yes but they mean no, et cetera, et cetera. Then following up the day before, 24 hours before every new day of work, confirming their hours, et cetera, et cetera. All the steps that you would imagine would be had been manual and crazy making. And he's been, according to my friend, he's been doing this now for 4 months and he just literally cannot believe it.
You sit back and you go and like, why
Why,
did I have
why
to
did
do
it take
that?
me so long
Why
to
did it
do this?
take you? But we didn't have that. And that's the nebulous part about AI. It's not like you're going to find that product
Right,
out on the shelf somewhere.
right.
It's not like back in the day where you go find the disc and upload it and now you've got it working. No, you don't have to do that. He actually let AI write a very particular and specific task that he is doing in his business. That is the beauty of AI. You're able to create something that is tailor made for your business.
So let's use that as a kind of a pivot into the hard barriers that exist between small businesses and really the successful application of AI. And this bears out in the research. You mentioned one already, and that's the skill set required to actually use AI. I'm gonna rattle them off, and you can take any one of them in whatever order you want to. But
Okay, we'll
is
try.
there A, do you believe that that's a legit barrier, that's a real problem? And B, is there any particular solution that comes to mind? So this is a pretty big piece of luggage to go through. There's the skill set required. What sometimes is self-described as maturity, AI maturity. Are they capable? Do
Look,
they
if you
have?
can, let me just put, I'll put that one to rest. If you can order a pizza, you can do AI.
That's a great way of putting it. I
Seriously,
agree, but
I
I
know.
think that the lack of confidence that so
Yes,
many people seem to have in their ability to just frame a question and realize as well how unbelievably forgiving most of the AI platforms are in the way in which you frame the
you're
question.
not going to break it.
Not going to break it. It's gonna, if it really needs help, it'll ask.
it
It'll
it'll
say, "Could you
ask.
just clear this up? Because
Yeah.
I'm confused, um, and I'm AI." Um, so there's that piece of it. The second is I don't actually have the talent on staff, the people to execute or to interact with AI. So not only I have a lack of confidence in myself, but I also have a lack of confidence in my people. Similar answer. Hey, if they can order pizzas, you're good to go.
No, no. I think there is something to be said about, allowing your team to grow into it.
Hmm.
I think we all need to take some time to learn little by little. I remember when I was moving from my PC to my MacBook. Dude, if you are, what are you on?
I'm on a PC, have
PC?
been for
You
years.
on a PC?
Yeah,
All right. You ever borrow somebody's MacBook?
have to. Occasionally have to.
Isn't it a pain in the neck?
Yeah, I
I
mean,
mean,
it's just kind of
even the
like,
way it
where
scrolls is
the
totally
hell is
different.
everything? I
Where's the
mean,
right, right? So the first time I bought a MacBook Air, I was like, man, I love this thing. It's so little and thin, and I can't wait. I ended up selling it. I got so frustrated for moving from one platform to the other. I
right,
get it.
right.
And the second time that I went ahead, I was like, I gotta do this. I gotta make this happen. What I ended up doing is I set up both workstations right next to each other. And every day I would take about 30 minutes, and
Hmm.
whatever I was doing on one, I would duplicate on the other.
Interesting.
And to the point where I was able to make the shift, closed the PC one day, never went back, right?
Hmm.
That's kind of how we got to do the AI thing. You're not going to get it all in one. And every time you get something, there's something new. I mean, there's always something new coming out.
Hmm.
Right? There's always a new version. So, more than anything, I just need you to get comfortable with the interface. I need people to get comfortable with asking it questions, answering its questions that it might ask of you, and trying to get results out of it. If you do that much, little by little, you will find yourself becoming a master. Most of the people that are out here claiming that they're AI experts,
Hmm.
guess what? They didn't go to college. Yeah, well, I mean, they just started adding this to a college course.
Right.
Everybody's pretty much self-taught,
Self
and
self-taught
yeah,
and should be the first to admit that they are no expert other than to
right.
say they're experienced. I'm experienced with taking on these particular challenges. I can't say with a straight face that I figured out the best way to do this, how to interact with. I can't even tell you which of my platforms are my favorite because I seem to
Hmm.
have found that everyone does something a little bit different and a little bit better than anybody else.
Yep.
But let me give you the next three kind of hard barriers
Cool.
as a lump. Number one is data and data hygiene, the data that exists inside of a small business that will better inform any AI engine. The second is systems. How are people interfacing with the AI? Are they doing it on their laptops? Are they doing it in the office, out of the office, on their phones? How are they doing it? And what are the integration requirements of those systems? In other words, how much does it all have to kind of fit together for AI to really be successful, particularly to impact business processes? And then the third one is cybersecurity and the concern that small businesses perpetually have and should have, which is I'm inviting in a new thing, a new set of machinery to kind of futz around with my data and futz around with my stuff. And I'm not sure I like that. I'm not sure how safe is this. So
Yeah, that's good.
with your, you have a tremendous amount of technology expertise, but I'm sure you kind of have to bring it down to its simplest form. What's your response to a small business that says, you know, grips their head and goes, "Oi, I'm so scared of my,
Yeah,
of
yeah,
all
yeah,
these
yeah.
things."
Okay, for real, for real, for real. right? Data security. I'm going to start with the security part, right?
Mm-hmm.
Data security is 100% probably one of the most important parts of business that we're doing today. As these systems get smarter and smarter, the ability for protecting our data becomes more risky. It does, right?
Mm-hmm.
So but you know what? That's just going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's that's been the case, and it's going to keep moving forward. One thing there's this misnomer, that you guys have to understand that Chat GPT or, Gemini are multi-billion-dollar systems, multi-billion-dollar systems, and they are not training their system on your data.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing people have got to get out of their head.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That is not happening. Just think about this, guys. If you had a multi-billion-dollar system that you spent all this money, time, effort to build, that you would just let any old body's data train in. No, heck no. These are closed systems.
Right.
These systems are not training on your data.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not happening, right?
Right.
Now, having said that, there is a actual server somewhere in, ChatGPT server land that probably has all of my data that I've put into it.
Mm-hmm.
It already has it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But so does Google.
Mm-hmm.
So does Gmail.
Mm-hmm.
So does Microsoft Word. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, all the data that you put into these products it's already out there. Stop
Mm-hmm.
acting like this one is the one that's going to take your company down. Not
Mm-hmm.
the case, because there's a balance here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let one company come out and actually tell you, hey, I used ChatGPT, they stole my data, and now everybody's using it. If
Mm-hmm.
that actually happened, who would use it then?
Right.
Nobody.
Right. Right.
So there's a balance there. So that's the first thing. Stop feeling like, oh my gosh, I got ChatGPT is not trying to find out your mama's chocolate chip cookie recipe. It's not what is happening here. Okay. So fantastic, right? So, but I mean, definitely if there's data that you want to make sure stays, very secure, don't put it on there. Don't put it on the internet. Never put it in Microsoft. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
This is just the reality where we're living in. As it relates to, the systems and how they talk to each other and integrate with each other. A year ago, I did a training about automation, right? And I went through all of this and started teaching all of this stuff about, how to do this zap and zap to this to zap. And then I had Make doing this and N8N doing that. And I was like, wow, boom, 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 boom. Here we are a year later. And literally I can just put it in a agent and it'll make all the connections on its own.
Right.
So it's like, how deep do you want to go into a rabbit hole that is about to disappear?
Right.
I don't think you need to.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to.
I agree. But I do think also if you're not as naturally technically inclined as I know you are, and a kind of problem solution driven like I know you are, and you're the average small business that's just trying to get through 10 to-do list items today, and and outside of those 10 is really this idea of confronting the challenge of making your brilliant idea of how to help your sales team manage their prospects, but it's got to integrate with the platform they use called Pipedrive, which doesn't have the kind of wonderful idea that you have, that you've generated kind of outside of the Pipedrive box, that is going to help your salespeople. So you're really excited about what this idea can do, but then you kind of slam into the wall of, I need this to really be integrated with my Pipedrive solution and you just give up. You kind of go, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do systems integration. I'm not a tech guy. What do you say to that person?
That's why Fiverr and Upwork exist.
Right.
Right? That's that. Think of Fiverr, that's for small work,
Mm-hmm.
test it, touch it kind of thing. You got a bigger project. That's where you go to Upwork. You want to think about those platforms as like the Uber of technology,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like you don't have a car, you're on the road, you need to get somewhere, you just Uber it. You don't have the skill to integrate these two platforms together. We go to Upwork and we hire somebody,
Mm-hmm.
and you get as far as you can
Mm-hmm.
with the AI and then let somebody else handle the integration part. It's just not that hard.
And do you think that the prices around that kind of ad hoc work or on-demand work, are they reasonable? Are they basically something that, somebody can are they 3 figures, 5 figures? What are they? Because
Well, I mean, everything
most,
depends.
yeah,
It all
right. I
depends.
agree with that.
Look, like your friends to do what he did for
The waitstaff schedule,
the wait staff schedule, he said it would take him 5 hours, what, a week?
5 to 10 hours a week.
5 to 10 hours a week. Then I go to this guy and I say, "How much are you per hour? What are you worth per hour?"
Right.
Seriously,
Right.
right? You're the
Yeah.
you're the guy. Well, he's like, "Man, look, you can't get me for less than like if I'm like, dude, I want to open up a restaurant similar to that kind of food. You've got the experience. How much would you charge me an hour just to
Mm-hmm.
sit and let me answer my questions?" So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I ask people. How much is your hour worth?
Mm-hmm. Right.
People, they don't know what to say. They $100, 200, 300, 1,000. I don't care. Let's say it's $1,000 an hour,
Mm-hmm.
right? 5 hours of your time. That's $5,000 a week you got burning.
Mm-hmm.
So now you get and say, hey, that's $22,000 a month, an hour's worth of work. Of course, it's your time, but still, that's the value of what you are trying to get a solution for. How much are you willing to spend?
Right.
It's a no-brainer.
Let's talk a little bit as we wrap this up. Let's talk a little bit to the business to small business, the B to SMB enterprise leaders that are listening to this, of which I hope there are many. They are historically, and recent history is that they have chosen to sell technology without service. That service is not necessarily something that's a revenue stream or even an offering that runs in parallel with their hardware, with exceptions, of course. But generally, they really don't want to, frankly, get into the service business, and they want to minimize their offering in things like training and support. They just want to sell a box and sell a piece of software or an app. Does AI, because of, particularly in its current state, AI requires so much service from an enterprise seller of AI enhanced products or services that almost requires the enterprises to step back and really rethink for a minute. Wait a minute. We're at a minimum, we're going to go through a period of time where we're going to have to invest in service and support of the implementation of AI. If we believe in it, and ultimately we know that the customers are going to believe in it and it's going to be successful, should we overinvest for a period of time in the support requirements of getting this really of utility, of really genuine use and value for small businesses? Do you think
Yeah, I
that's true?
mean, absolutely. I mean, the front line takes the arrows. That's just going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's just going to happen. It's going to be front loaded. That's why you're seeing a lot of these reports coming back where it's like, hey, we spent X amount on AI in the first, I mean, just think about how nebulous this is. I mean, in 2021, it didn't even exist,
Mm-hmm.
right? Here we are in 25, and we're like, oh my God, AI, it just got here yesterday. I
Right.
mean, it's still in diapers,
Right.
but so I get it that a lot of people did invest in solutions that were still half baked.
Right.
They were still half baked. And a lot of solutions even today are
Mm-hmm.
still half baked. We're going to go through a consolidation phase. I think you just seen what happened today or recently, depending on when this airs, with AMD and OpenAI.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's huge. These are huge movements that are going to bring together this complete ecosystem
Mm-hmm.
for this new platform of
Mm-hmm.
development. And that's what this is. And
Mm-hmm.
and that's where we're going to need I think, at some level, those vendors are not going to support the things that they put out, and that leaves an opening for a third party to do the
Right.
support.
Right.
You
Exactly.
know, and
Yeah.
I think
Exactly.
there's going to be a tier of that
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
that that really starts. It's like, hey, we support all of these different vendors and integrations and solutions, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's still in its infancy stage. However, those who are getting on right now, it's like me and Bitcoin, bro. Bitcoin just hit a new high.
Right.
Everybody thought I was crazy when I was talking about Bitcoin 6 years ago, 7 years ago,
Right.
right? Sometimes you got to get on and just take a ride with it,
Yeah.
and you'll
It's
pay it off.
it really is no risk, no reward. I mean, if you don't take that risk, I couldn't agree. Bitcoin is such a great example because I think crypto has certainly had its ups and downs and its wild swings, no doubt about it. But it's a little bit like when I invested in crypto, it was really kind of very much like the hand over $10,000 for your kid's college education fund and do not look at it for 18
Don't
years.
touch it.
Don't touch it. Don't touch it. Don't look at it. Because all you care about
It'll
is how
drive you
much in your
crazy.
checking account the day you got to write that first tuition check. Along the way, you shouldn't give a shit.
Don't touch it.
Don't mess
Yes.
with it. But kind of last question, and this is really based on a question that I have that came from a fellow influencer who shall remain nameless, but was doing an interview with a CEO for a very, very large financial accounting system kind of support platform. And I'll be as cryptic as I can so I don't get anybody into trouble. But the question to the CEO, does it keep you up at night to know that a couple of kids at the local community college could sit down with AI and effectively create your incredibly popular accounting platform in a matter of days that has 80 to 90% of its functionality and offer it for free to every small business who wanted to sign up? Does that keep you up at night? And that CEO said, no, it doesn't, because I believe that the brand affinities that we have created and loyalty that we have created is an impenetrable barrier to that kind of a virus hitting us, that kind of one-off virus hitting us. And both this influencer and I both said, man, is that guy dreaming? Because there really is this, I think, this capability now that anybody has to build anything and to go to take the simple step of saying, just go to this as a model. I want you to create something that looks just like this, because the AI doesn't care. I mean, it's gonna use that as a template, an example. So
Yeah.
I guess to put it out in the form of a question is, what major changes do you think happen to this landscape of small business technology that you have grown to love? How does AI ultimately change it in the way in which it interacts with both those who sell and those who buy?
Man, that's huge, dude. I don't know. That's way beyond my pay grade. You
Yeah,
know?
sorry to put you on the spot. What?
No, but yeah, it. You know what? I go back to the early days of Microsoft. Okay, and think about Microsoft Office, actually Microsoft Word, when it was a data processor. That was
Right.
just a data processing program, right? I remember there was a third party program that you would buy to do spell checking, right? So you'd have your word processor, then you'd have another program that was the spell checker. Then one day, Microsoft put them out of business.
Right.
They just added a button on their toolbar that said spell check. And all of a sudden, you didn't need to buy the spell checker. You know, that's about to happen to a lot of different industries. And what does that do? I don't know. But I think whoever was the spell checker back in the day, they probably landed somewhere and they're doing okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes. Yeah.
So I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. But if you think just because you got, you know, your trademark on a piece of paper and people are going to love your brand because of that, not when it's free. It's hard, man, to deal with free.
Right.
And we're going into a area where a lot of if you look at HubSpots of the world, you know, all of those this year are kind of down. And I think we're starting to see the alarm bell sounding that software SaaS, as we've known it, is going to change.
Right.
Drastically and pretty quick. So what are they going to do? You know, I know HubSpot's innovating. I love the way they always are trying to, you know, find the next thing. So they're going to be okay. You know what I'm saying? At some level. But a lot of these, if you're just sitting around, you know, holding your ears and eyes and pretending like AI is not coming for you, it's coming. The impact is coming.
And I do think you point out something really important, and that is that the big players, and I think because this is public record, we can talk about it. Wix acquired this vibe coding, and maybe one day you can explain to me exactly what vibe coding is. But you know, buys Base 44, which is kind of this, you know, couple guys in a garage kind of knocking out a low code, no code app creation platform. And they acquire Base 44, and not for an insignificant amount of money. And everybody's trying to wonder, why are you doing that? Why would you do that? Why would you, you know, invite the fox into the hen house, basically, in the form of a technology and a capability that could undermine all of the prepackaged stuff that you do? And I think the short answer is, hey, that's a pretty astute executive committee. They kind of looked at the landscape and said, if we're really not certain where this is all going to wind up and what dynamics are going to change in the marketplace, let's just sprinkle some bets around on certain outcomes. Because who knows, maybe in 5 years' time, maybe even in less time, Base 44 is going to be a bigger offering than Wix. As big as Wix is, that opportunity presents itself. So I do think that that's going to be a very real dynamic that a lot of these AI enhancements or AI products and services are going to really drive into the marketplace for the big boys. Is basically, you know, I need to make some genuine strategic and defensive moves that may turn out to be offense, but I'm going to just do it to try and start to lock up kind of my sense of what the landscape's going to be.
Amazon does that so well.
So bloody well.
They disrupt themselves over and over again, and it seems to have worked out very well for them.
And I always give high marks to their marketing team because those boys can invent a name for something that is absolutely perfect. From the very origin of Amazon, and it's the largest river in the world with many, many tributaries. Got it. Brilliant. You can play with that forever and ever. But this latest one, all of their internet kind of interface capabilities called Amazon Silk Road. Come on now, you guys. Stop it.
There we go.
Too darn creative. Hey, go Falcons. It's been fantastic.
Yay!
And, you know, I'd like to have that Vikings game back, as I said. But, you know, kudos to you guys and stay cautious. You know, as we discussed, you got to be cautious as a Falcons fan, just like I'm extremely cautious of being a Cubs fan right now. Just don't get too excited.
Oh,
but
shoot.
Anyway, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you, man. Thank you. It was great catching up.
Hey, thanks for joining us for this episode of Between Two Bs, the official podcast of the B to SMB Institute and our 5,000 plus business to small business professionals. Tune in every Wednesday for new episodes at the crossroads of the big B and the small B. Between Two Bs on your favorite streaming services.